Welcome. Let's talk about human rights. Actually, we will talk about the roots of human rights, the human rights theory history. Well, Eckhart Klein, that's a free translation, okay, wrote, when we talk about human rights, we often don't know what we are talking about. This means that the expression human rights has a lot of different sense. Thus, when we use this expression, we have to know that there isn't agreement of its meaning. Among many possibilities, we have even opposing ideas. Sometimes these ideas provoke exclusion, and sometimes the opposite, inclusion. It's very important in this sense. Study the history of human rights theory. Well, I will read a text. It will be better because we don't have many time, much time. And for this, I will talk a little bit and then I will read a text. But first of all, let's talk about the liberal revolutions at the 18th century when these liberal revolutions used the idea of human rights. They intend to provoke exclusion. Well, by recognizing persons who do not fulfill the humankind criteria, the liberal revolutions made possible segregation of selected groups. For example, French Revolution denied political rights for women. In this sense, we can say for them, freedom wasn't a characteristic of all humankind, and the human rights was an attribute uniqueness of free gentlemen. Also, if we understand the American Revolution, we will see in US they after write the Bill of Rights in Virginia, they agree with slavery. This means that persons who do not fulfill the humankind criteria, they don't have human rights. In this sense, human rights provoke exclusion. This exclusion can't be accepted nowadays because international law, and I'm talking about the United Nations regulations, mm, goes with human rights inclusion of all the men. For example, we have Mandela rules for inclusion. We have many others. It was in 16th century that the Spanish late scholastics started the idea of inclusion with the human rights theory. As I said, I will read a test because we don't have much time, and I guess it will be better for us. I can read a little bit, and if it is necessary, I can explain something. Uh, I wrote some some texts about the roots of human rights. One of them is published in Encyclopedia of the Philosophy of Law and Social Philosophy, edited by Springer. Another one is published in Salamanca University. The name is in Spanish, Francisco de Vitoria y la raíz de la dogmática penal. Eh, may I recommend also uh, an article from Ramon Hernandez. This article is in English. The, the title is The Internalization of Francisco de Vitoria and Domingo Soto. It's published by Fordham International Law Journal. These three texts I can recommend, and I did a new text and I will read it. Francisco de Vitoria is the lead author of late Spanish scholastics. This school has fundamental importance for both German idealism and German school of natural law, which have built several institutions of contemporary law. Therefore, investigating Vitoria influence is not seeking to reproduce concepts used in the past, in the distant 16th century, but rather dealing with the genesis of contemporary legal institutions. In a humanistic perspective, Vitoria inaugurated the relationship between human rights and legitimation of power. Thus, by recognizing a nucleon of rights which emerge from belonging of mankind, regardless the social condition, he started a theory of human rights. Vitoria opposed this question and created the roots of human rights concept. The question is, the Aborigines who were in a lower development standard comparing to the Europeans are or not subject of rights? Let me explain you something. When Vitoria did this question, Vitoria wants to limited the political power. The political power should respect a nucleon of rights. that emerge the belonging of mankind, that emerge because someone belongs to mankind. That means the dignity of human nature. Vitoria used a concept, potentia rationalis, rational power. That means with the rational power, everyone must be in the sphere of protection of law, regardless civilization standards or personal states. For conclude this, Vitoria used a interpretative key. It was the dominion right to property. I will read again the text to do this in the right time. With the great navigations, the Europeans had to develop interactions with human beings who were in a lower civilizing standard, and the question raised by this meeting was faced by Vitoria, namely, are the Indians who are in a lower stage of development compared to the Europeans subject to rights? Although Vitoria did not use the expression human rights, its theoretical construction started from this question to consolidate a substantial concept of human rights. To answer this question, Vitoria has developed a theory that deals with the different people, either in the sense of faith, since the Indians were not baptized, or in the sense of human and social experience, since the Indians also lacked the technology and development that could oppose obstacles to those who would dominate them. Well, and Victoria took the right to property as a conceptual key that would be used to recognize the rights, the rights of the subjects. According him, the right to property was the starting point to enable the legal order, because it was also the beginning of a reflection of the whole of human dignity according to the legal order. Vitoria wrote the Indies, and in this book, he solved a juridical problem. About 40 years, the inhabitants of newly conquered territories, they write it, barbarians of New World, commonly called Indians, felt into the power of the Spaniards. Are they subjects to rights? These questions are connected with the rational power, potentia rationalis, the rational power. What is this? It is a concept that take its roots in the usual and natural law. Furthermore, he understood the rational power as a mandate, and as such, it was determined by reason and order to the common good. When Vitoria wrote the theory of human rights, he actually rejected the ethics of the holders of the political powers in his times and proposed in its turns new foundations to political power limitation, departing from both right to property and potentia rationalis, human dignity at least. Vitoria created a theory that includes all human beings in legal order. And with this, we can have in late Spanish scholastics the roots of the substantial concept of human rights. That's all.